Good afternoon everybody, and welcome to Fresh Beginnings cookery session. Today we're going to be making some fruit scones. So let's get ready. First of all, in my bowl I've already weighed out 450 grams of self-raising flour and 2 level teaspoons of baking powder. I've got 50 grams of sugar and 100 grams of butter, 2 eggs and a drop of milk, and I've got a handful of mixed fruit that roughly weighs about 100 grams. We won't need 100 grams, but I've got it there just in case, and we'll see as we go along. So, as I said to you before, I've already sifted the flour and I've already sifted the baking powder. This is because it can help just keep it a little bit lighter and aerate it. Okay, so let's just do a check. We've got everything. I've preheated the oven for 200 degrees because I've got a fan oven. If you haven't got a fan oven, put it on 220. So, right, I'm going to add in to the flour and baking powder my sugar and the butter. Softened butter. Some ask for it to be cold, some ask for it to be softened. Here we're using a softened version of the method. So all I'm going to do is rub this in until we can get some very fine. If you were using, some say chilled butter, some say frozen butter. If you were using either chilled or frozen, what I would recommend is that you actually grate your butter into the flour, so it's going to be easier for you to work with. So we just need that to, you see how the butter's going into the flour, and we need to sort of get as much air in it as possible. So we're just rubbing it between our fingers, getting rid of all, we don't want any lumps left in it. Mary Berry wouldn't like it if we had a lumpy mixture. And we can't upset Mary Berry, can we? She's actually one of my dearest favourites. When it comes to baking, okay, so we're almost there. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. See how it's all just like a lovely breadcrumb, no lumps in it. Okay, so I'm just going to dust my hands off over this sink, just to get rid of my surplus. Right, in here, I'll just move that out of the way for a second. In here I've got 2 eggs, which needs to be beaten. And we also need a drop of milk. What we need to do is, there's just over 150 there, so we need to add in enough milk to make it up to the 200 mark. We might actually need some more. We'll see how we go. And we're going to mix that in very gradually into our mix. So just make a well in the middle, pour it in, we don't want it too wet, we don't want it too dry. I'm going to get my hands in there now, and we're going to mix it together. Now, with lots of mixes, it doesn't like to be over-handled. This is still a bit dry. So I'm going to pour the rest of that in, and we can get some more out for the topping. That's better. And you're going to get it into a dough, mix it all together. So before it's all mixed in, you can just feel it's starting to all gather together. I want to put in some fruit. Now with the fruit, I've chosen mixed fruit. So it's got all kinds in there. You can use just sultanas, you can just use currants, you can use cherries. My latest, newest favourite is lavender scones. We'll make those again at another time. But I think sort of the traditional one is mixed fruit and or cherries. So I'm just going to put half of those in for now. I'm just going to mix those together. It's still a wee bit dry. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it to rest for a minute, and then we're going to roll it out slightly and make our scones. Thank you. Right, okay, so we've now got all our mixture together. So I'm going to put it out onto the board. Get rid of my bowl. And I just gently get it together. I don't want to overhandle this because I don't want to knock out the air, because we want to keep it nice and soft and fresh. So just pick it up. So what I want to do is just sprinkle some flour on my board, and also some on the rolling pin. Okay, and I'm just going to gently squash that down. If you haven't got a rolling pin, oops, it doesn't matter, you can push it down with your fingers, or you can use a milk bottle, any bottle, a water bottle. But just if you do use something like a bottle, just make sure it's clean. So we're just going to roll that out. We don't want it too thin, about an inch, not even that. Just knock it back into the sides to make sure it's all the same size. This should make about 10, I guess. So, and then we've got a cutter. My cutter just happens to be a shaped cutter, but you haven't got to worry about that. If you haven't got a cutter, then you can use a small glass or anything equivalent. And if that doesn't work, you can just roll it into balls and flatten it down, which I'll show you in a minute when we get to the end. So we're just going to see how many of these we can get out. Trying again not to overhandle the mixture. I'm just pulling it away. Look at all that lovely fruit in there. I do like some cherries in mine as well. Or you could do a mixture. You could could do sort of half sultanas and half cherries. Just push it through. I might get one more out of that. Like so. I'm just going to bring those to the edge a bit more. Doesn't matter if they're touching, it's not like biscuits where you have to leave them a lot of space. So again, I'm just going to make this up again, and you can get away with doing this another time, but you don't want to over roll it. So in other words, keep rolling it out, because otherwise, as I said before, you're going to lose. So just get some flour back underneath that. A bit more on our rolling pin. So we're flouring the rolling pin and the board, but avoiding flouring the mixture. So same thing again. And then cut out what's left. So we're doing quite well out of this mixture, because normally it's about 10, we're going to get 12. Oh, we're going to have a baker's dozen. Look at that. So put that there, and then what we're left with, I'm just going to roll into a ball. And when I said to you before, so if we just break that in half and twist it, if you haven't got a cutter, just break off pieces into the size that you want. Might not be shaped, but it doesn't matter. Rustic look is good. So we've got two smaller ones there that we can just, some like it having the rustic look. Okay, oops, let's just move him over there. So let's just get rid of this for a minute. Just get rid of that flour. Bring my board underneath. So then all we're going to do now is, this is a bit of leftover of the milk and the egg. And all I want to do is just, not too much and not on the sides, we're just going to give the top a nice coating, just to help it golden. And then we're going to put them in the oven for 10-12 minutes. And if you can resist when they come out of the oven to leave them to cool, all the better. So while they're in the oven, we'll get our cream ready and our jam. Okay, I'm going to pop those into the oven now on the middle shelf. And 10 minutes. So when they're done, I'll get the jam and cream ready. Okay. Right, okay, so hopefully we're now ready to get them out of the oven, and we just want them to be a nice pale golden colour. We don't want them over brown. I'm going to turn the oven off. They've been in for about 15 minutes in actual fact. So let's lift those onto the top there. Gorgeous. And if you see the ones that we didn't use the cutter for, you can see they're still fine. They're just a lovely rustic shape. So sometimes, you know, that's fine. So just to test, real test to do whether your scones are cooked, is you can just snap one inside and look inside it. And look at that, beautiful. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to, I've got a wire rack at the ready. I'm going to pop those on there to cool. And as you can see, I've got the jam and cream at the ready for when they cool down. So we'll have a look at them. We just leave those to cool, nice and fresh. Now scones, I have to say, they don't keep for days on end. So if you do manage to be able to keep any on the same day that you make them, put them into an airtight container and put them into somewhere which is cool for a couple of days. When you bring them out, if you just want to put your oven on warm again, and then just give them a little bit of a freshen up, like you would do with half-baked bread. So you're just going to put them back in the oven just to warm them up. That will just give them a little extra lease of life. Okay, so now we'll just leave them to cool and then we'll eat the evidence. Right, and here we are. Here is our beautiful fruit scone. So, I'm just going to get one, slice it down the middle, and just look at that. Look how soft, and that is absolutely beautiful. So on there, I'm going to just put, do you put jam on first or do you put cream on first? I put jam on first. Everybody is different. And then I'm going to put a little bit of cream on the top there. Spread that out. See how short the scone is because it's breaking up. And that is your finished jam and cream scone. That truly is delicious. Can't wait for you to make them. Let me know how you get on. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye.